pop it a little bit, and then it comes right out. Yeah, just get your elbows up, bro, and you're fucking fine. You elbows up. Have you seen that thing in that movie, The Men in Black, where they shoot you and you forget everything? I do that after this show every week. We try to do a little bit of education on the show. Can I use the Dirt Legal code to get a green card for my Primo? Hey, everybody. It's Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, the show where we pet cats and fix things. Fix your motorcycle and motorcycle-related problems, potentially your life skills problems. I work on mine a lot. My name is Jimmy Lewis. This is Dirt Bike Test, and we know a little bit about some motorcycle stuff. So we're willing to share that information with you once a week right here live on the internet. So welcome, everybody. Solo tonight. Everybody's scared to come in and co-host on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, so I'm just going to play with my tools. The show wouldn't be possible without the help of some of our sponsors. You will see them kind of flashing on the screen thing, like right down there. It's right over there. And yeah, that guy owes me money right there. And I'll send him the bill almost immediately. But companies like Yamaha, for sure. You see my sweet WRs in the background. I've been doing a little bit of pipe testing on those the last couple of days. There is, of course, Climb. Climb is going to sponsor the product of the week. I actually have two of them. Some important stuff that I use all the time that can maybe help you. Look, just popped up right there again. Right there. It's so weird because it's the other side. It's all backwards and I'm looking at it. Of course, Bulletproof Designs, DDC sprockets. We have Seat Concepts helping us out. A lot of different stuff. Some new stuff coming. Here's a new one. Dirt Legal. So if you have a registration issue with a vehicle, like I know you have this bike in it, you can't make it street legal where you want to. I have a solution. Go to Dirt Legal, check them out, but please click through the link we have over on Dirt Bike Test, or reach out to me via email and I will send you a link to click through. Those tend to help us out, help me be able to put on the show. I have to buy cat food for my cat all the time. And that is not an inexpensive cat. She got a fishing pole for my birthday. A long story, but thanks, Jim. So that's most of the sponsor plugs. Of course, FMF's been helping me out. Pirelli Tires. I've been doing some stuff with these people, and everything's going really good. If you missed last week's show, it was a banger. We had Jimmy Tyler came in and co-hosted. We had Cody Webb on the show. We talked Yamahas, of course. We talked some extreme enduro. And we talked about how to set up each other's bikes. So that was good. And we also had, see, here I am with names again, trying to remember names. From Sportsman Cycle, we had, and if you watch the show, you notice I kind of forgot his name on, just like I did right now. And he answered some beta questions. So if you have specific questions you want answered, just throw them up in the chat. And if you're listening to this later, you can email. It's my name at dirtbiketest.com. And we answer all those questions. That's mostly what we do in this show. And I'm going to get right to it. So I also did something on the YouTubes. There's something called Super Chat or something like that. And Super Chat, we get, you have to pay. And so I'm going to get like $1 million. And if you send that million in, then I'll instantly answer your question. It's like you can buy a mechanic question for a moment. So, but right now I'll just do the free version, have some questions. This is from Todd in Salt Lake City. And Todd says, "Greetings, Jimmy. It's time to sell my deeply loved 2013 KTM 450 XCW. It has 870 hours and 25,000 miles on it." And he throws a question mark on there. Okay. So I'm personally attached to this machine since it's taken me all over the Western U.S. and to the tip of Baja with Baja Bound. Great company, by the way. I'll rate the condition of the bike as good, and I wouldn't be asking the question, but the countershaft splines are worn significantly. The other major issue is that inside the fork tubes, there are some of those spots where the anodized coating is missing. The last oil analysis came back with this engine is getting along great at 23,000 total miles. My last leak down test was down 5%. The bike is complete, fully functional, and up to date on the maintenance items. My current plan is to try it in the fall and then designate it as a backup or a guest bike. And over the winter, I would learn how to replace the countershaft. So any thoughts on when to get rid of a loved bike would be appreciated. As you look around this shop and see a lot of loved bikes. So that's a really good question. And I think for everybody, there's a some people get rid of their bike after, like clockwork. Like after a year or 2 years, they sell and get rid of their bikes. Just buy a new one. They'd rather replace it than work on it. There are others that just fall in love with a bike and keep it forever, and they just keep fixing it. Obviously, the bikes these days, you don't have to fix them that much, but just kind of keeping them tuned. So the countershaft splines. So I sent him back an email and said, "Hey, take a picture of those countershaft splines. I want to see what you're calling significantly worn." And I kind of, the other question is like, how did they get worn? Because usually that's from an improper fitting sprocket. So the countershaft sprocket wasn't that good, because I've rarely seen a nice fitting countershaft, and especially on the KTMs where they're bolting that countershaft and keeping everything tight. On old clipped countershafts, it was a little bit more common for there to be some wear. But there was a lot of different methods. Honda had I remember some of my old Yamahas and some of my old KTMs had a clip on the end of it. Honda used to have a indexed bolted on plate, but that would actually bolt it and kind of hold it. But it was still a little bit, I would say a little bit, not as solid as when they're bolting and tightening the whole shaft together, pulling that countershaft sprocket, onto it. And then the shaft has the ability to move a little bit, but at least the countershaft can't rock on the thing. So that's a split the cases teardown. I don't know, at that many hours, I wouldn't be surprised if you've never done anything, never replaced the top end, never had to do valves in that motor. It's probably getting close to time. I mean, with that many hours on it, it probably wouldn't hurt. It'd be interesting to hear it, see if there's any piston rock, different things like that you would know. But I mean, a 5% leak down is pretty normal. So, you're coming up on 1,000 hours. You got your money's worth out of it, I would hope. So think about that. That's like about $10 an hour, I'm claiming, if my math is right on that thing. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good winter project to learn how to tear it down and replace the stuff. The parts probably aren't crazy expensive, but at that point, if you're going to split the cases on that bike, I would probably throw a piston and a cylinder at it, or at least have the cylinder recoated. I don't know if I would do the crank, but some people say it's in your hand, you might as well change it. I mean, it's got all that time on it, but you could probably spend a couple $1,000 on that bike and it would be brand new again. That you can get the fork tubes coated. All those wear surfaces can be coated and or replaced. I see guys selling the kit suspension or the takeoff suspension when they put kit suspension. You'll find that stuff, and it's pretty generic on a lot of the KTMs, so you can find a lot of that stuff. And I mean, if you kind of just set yourself a budget and say, hey, I'm going to spend this much on it, what's this bike worth? Because right now that bike's worth, say, $5,000. You could probably sell it with the countershaft sprocket. So, and I see we're dropping frames in here again. This stupid show. I'll try to fix that. But anyways, Todd, that's my question. That's my answer. I just don't sell bikes. I should. I got a lot of bikes for sale. Any one of my bikes is for sale right now. Just drop me an email. I'll send you a picture of the bike and I'll tell you what I think it's worth. Jake Christie says, hello, Jimmy. I still haven't seemed to get that gift certificate yet. That's Taco Moto's Rooster Endo gift certificate that you won a few weeks ago. And I don't know why, because I've reached out to Mike, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to reach out to him again. I think someone else said the same thing. So I think Mike got a little bit behind. He's got his hands full with a fuel pump, and he's working on that. So Jake, I will work on that. Hopefully I can help you out. Utah Desert Racer says, hello, thanks for the show. It hasn't even started yet. And E-Mountain Bike and Moto Adventure says, we need to talk about the Big Bear GP. Yeah, I should call Aaron Cook and talk about that. I was going to do that, but I forgot to do that. So I'll put it on the schedule that I don't keep. So perfect. But if you know Aaron, tell him to call me. I'll take his call right now, live on the show. Trevor Hunter is supposed to be calling in. I thought you wanted to talk about the Big Bear dual sport race again. He put up a video, and we'll get to those in the comments. And got another question here. It says, hi, Jimmy. I watched your video on the 2024 Beta 300RR. You had said you added 20 cc's of fork oil to each fork. Do you have to take the shock apart to do that, or just use a syringe through the bleed screw on the fork cap? Love listening to your podcast. Well, Randy, I actually emailed you back. It was one of the few people I actually just emailed back, so it was simple. Yeah, I put it through the bleed hole on open cartridge forks, or actually any air chamber, a fork that has an air oil chamber in it. If you want to add oil or take oil out, that's the kind of the oil, we'll call it the lubricating oil. It's not really the damping oil. It's mostly the lubricating oil. On the open cartridge, it is the damping oil. It's all the same. But you can change the oil volume through the bleed hole. And so what you want to do is just measure out how much. I usually do 5 cc's at a time, and I'll dump it in there. I'm generally kind of careful because you don't want to put too much in there, because then you're gonna hydro lock it essentially. But yeah, on betas, they typically they run low, especially on the Sachs fork. They usually don't run them in the high end. So, and then on WP, same thing. They usually are right in the middle. The manual will tell you how much they put in, and then you can kind of calculate out how much more you can possibly add. Generally, after they break in, I do a fork rebuild, and then I measure them the proper way, and then I know where the fork height is. And when I do that rebuild, when I empty them out, I measure the amount of oil that comes out of the fork so that I have an idea. I compare that to what the manual says to see how close it is. And trust me, sometimes it's way off. And it can be on a single bike way off between even the 2 forks on a bike. So you confused me when you said you have to take the shock apart, but you're talking about the fork as a shock absorber, I suspect. But and remember, this is the forks. I don't open up shocks and pour stuff in and out. Shocks are sealed, pressurized systems, and it requires special tools. So hopefully that answers the question. So We're going to talk about our mufflers here in a little bit. We've been testing some mufflers and some things. Again, thanks to Yamaha for bringing this show. I've got a really good bass map and map settings now for the WR250. Of course, mine is a 23, but it'll work on the new ones as well because the engines are essentially the same. So I have a competition ECU, so that works on FX and WR for sure. And then if you want a smoother characteristic on the, we'll call it the YZ, some of these maps would help also. So I can email you those. I can send them through the Yamaha Power Tuner app and do all that kind of stuff. So again, thanks for joining in. Ask your questions in the chat. Email me your questions and throw them up in the comments. However you do that. We have some Roosterendos brought to you by Moto. We'll get to those tonight, but I want to get to your YouTube questions, and I think that Trevor Hunter wants to call into the show. So instead of letting him call, I'm going to call him. We'll see if
Hello?
You're live on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, the premier motorcycle show and podcast.
Still going?
Yeah, it's 251 episodes. I should have mentioned that at the start of the show. Are you in a bad cell service zone? Are you gonna ruin this show too? This episode?
I'm not sure. I think we're okay for now.
Well, it's good because we have a lot of questions on some of the videos. Mostly the video that you posted. It's called. Well, your old video is getting some questions, and on the Conquering the Big Bear hard route. KLX 300 versus CRF 300. You know, last year when you had like some success?
When we top 10 the race, ride?
Yeah, right. Whatever you want to call it. It says, enough with the beeping already. Geez whiz. How do you want to reply to 14 mold ham sandwich?
Well, you can't durability test something if you don't actually use it. So part of it is we durability test the bike, and the bike comes with the horn. So we got to test the bike to its full capabilities.
Okay, so the horn was part of your testing criteria.
Yes.
I'm working on my XR 150 video right now, which it'll be, millions of views more than yours. But I don't think I tested the horn like at all that I recall. So
you sound like MXA or dirt biker.
Just
you sound like a dirt rider guy.
Making excuses for something after the fact. I didn't know I was supposed to lay that hard on the horn. Okay.
It comes to the bike, right?
Yeah. And then there's this other one, Broke Bike Mountain. Does size matter? And Bill X8X says enough of the size matters.
Okay, well we finished it.
You finished the size matters, or you finished the run?
We didn't finish the run.
Oh, okay. So you DNF'd.
We did DNF.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
We DNF'd the ride.
MindFact says your video content is really good, but I noticed that the views seem low, possibly because of the thumbnail. It's not as eye-catching as it should be. Do you think that's because of you?
I am just a dumb dirt bike rider, so probably.
You made the un-eye-catching thumbnail?
Probably.
Oh, well, that's good because MindFacts, I'm a professional thumbnail designer. Feel free to contact me if you'd like help. I can create high-quality thumbnails that can boost your views.
All right, I guess we'll have to reach out to him.
Okay, yeah, he commented on your video because obviously that thumbnail really sucked. Let's see here. Let's see. Grandpa Dude says, great video. Small brake lever on the left bar on the 300. He has a question mark. He said he used to ride an XL 185. How about a CRF 200L? Around 225 pounds with a 21 front. He sounds like a motorcycle designer, Grandpa Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what that bike weighed, Trevor?
I don't know, but
well, it sounds like you knew that the horn worked, but shouldn't you know what the weight of the bike is?
No, because I just want to know how the weight feels on the trail. I don't really care about the specs on paper.
You sound like I used to. I don't
want to be influenced.
That's such an excuse for a lazy guy. Yeah, I used to. No, I actually ride them. Me and Big John on one of our last shows, we weighed the XR 150. It weighs 280 pounds, 279 with a full tank of gas. 279 pounds for that thing, and neither of us guessed that. We were thinking like 240 at most. So this guy.
That's the same as our Honda 450X.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing how much weight they can pack into a little bike like that. Thing's made in Mexico. It's grande. So CRF 200L at 225 pounds. This guy's dreaming.
I don't know what. Maybe it's like a bicycle version where they just take the motor out. I don't know. I don't know where he's getting that weight from.
Right. Papa Razi says, great job on getting this video up in a short time. You got me back. You got me back in the I should lower my beta or not phase. So he says beta offers a 1-inch and a 2-inch lowering kit. Being 5'6", riding the local trails, I struggle to dab a boot down his reel. I like that he says dab and not put both my feet on the ground. It says, I still occasionally bottom front and rear. In my mind, lower it means I'll compromise high-speed G-out safety. Now that the vid is up, I can forward this to Schuler and get his opinion. Hope you make it out next year. What do you have to say to this guy?
Well, I hope he understood what I said in the video, and that a lowered bike, unless you're a beginner rider or 99% of the time, a lowered bike is not going to help. So I would not recommend it. So hopefully he understood that from what I said.
Okay. I mean, do you think people watch the video more than like the first 30 seconds after you asked people how big it was, how much size they had or something?
I mean, he must have gotten far enough in to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, people don't listen, Trevor. That's why I have this podcast, and then I do it for 2 hours. And then somebody, like, they ask me the exact same question I answered on the podcast. And then I just say, oh, yeah, you're going to have to watch the podcast. And then they quit asking me questions. But, or listen to the podcast or whatever you do with a pod. It's a pod show-orific thing. I tell people you don't ride with your feet on the ground. Okay.
No.
And you have to think about how much time you put your feet on the ground versus how much time you're riding with your feet on the pegs or doing that kind of stuff. And then, of course, there's times when you want to put your feet down, and usually those are bad times. So don't compromise your entire ride for just a little bit, because most of the time, those bad times, even if you're going to lower it an inch or two, there's still going to be bad times.
It's not going to matter.
Yeah, you could spend a lot more time just practicing some basic techniques. Learning how to keep yourself in balance, learning to realize when you're getting out of balance, so you don't keep going and make it worse. And then having a lowered bike isn't such a huge problem. So let's see. They want to know if you're going to race the Big Bear GP.
That is the plan.
That's the plan.
Now, yeah.
Have you begged for free entries and stuff yet, like a typical journalist?
No, but I think Scott has, because he posted something on our Instagram.
Oh, it's not another hour meter. It's not another picture of an hour meter.
in between the hour meter posts, he put up a Big Bear GP post. So apparently Scott's begging someone.
I'm gonna I'll post an hour meter post tomorrow. I'll get my hour meter post up tomorrow.
I'll put mine up too. We'll see. We'll compare.
So it's on our Instagram. I have to go look at our Instagram and check. That? I have to go look at our Instagram and then check out how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take notes.
Do I have to do a plug for a helmet or anything, a sponsor?
Yes, always.
Okay. Kind of like I'm going to do like right now. It's like since I have this Climb backpack sitting next to me, I have been it hasn't even been used, so I haven't ridden enough. Okay. Brand new. But the reason I'm bringing it on the show to do a product spotlight on it is because I wore my old Climb backpack. And when I was carrying my impact driver and a couple other things in my back and it was slamming against my back, I'm like, oh, I need to get a better backpack. And I have it. So it's a good plug, right, Trevor? That was kind of an organic thing that I just did there.
Yeah, I do have maybe you could plug Climb again. Someone just asked me what a good wet weather riding jacket is. Like a lightweight wet weather riding jacket. You know,
so
any that are decent?
Climb has a few different shells, outer shells. And this is what I typically do. I back in the old days, like when Malcolm Smith had the Gore-Tex jacket, and it was a big deal. I sweat like a pig. I don't know how much pigs really sweat. I've never researched it, but I mean, I sweat a lot. So I'll wet myself from the inside out, even when it's raining.
Yeah.
So that stuff didn't really work all that well for me, especially early Gore-Tex. And I kid you not, it's got a lot better. And some of the Climb jackets are actually Gore-Tex jackets, which are, full kind of regular jackets, got really good. And I can actually wear those, but I kind of prefer to have a shell, even if it's really gonna rain, because I'd rather have kind of a jacket that opens up and has zippers and stuff, that you can vent and then throw a shell on. And then when it's done raining, you can take the shell back off. And then sometimes when it's really bad, I'll put the shell on underneath the jacket.
Yeah.
And then use so the shell's kind of like multi-purpose. And so Climb has a few of those. There's a few different companies that make them. I tend to think that but if you're a guy that's like tearing your jerseys and stuff like that, don't spend a lot of money on a shell, because you're just going to shred the thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, Climb has some ones that are pretty damn durable, but if you're just going to cry when you know what the price tag is, and you rip your sleeve every time you go riding. There's some other materials that aren't as expensive as the Gore-Tex stuff. I think Climb actually has a couple different levels of waterproof stuff, but they have so many different jackets. And I think there was one called the Latitude that was kind of my favorite, and still if I'm going to be riding, especially for me, it's mostly when it rains the night before and you're the first one on the trails and you're rubbing up against, the wet bushes, or you're like, you're going to go riding up in the mountains and you're going to have afternoon thunder showers. And then, a lot of times because it's lightning, you go underneath the trees, you wait a little while and you come back out, you throw that shell on, then you can just, blast through the bushes and, see how it works. Trevor just hung up on me because I talk too much. So, I've got a few other questions here coming on. We'll see if he'll call back. Probably going out of range. He's going way up in the mountains to go riding. Smart kid. I had more questions for him too, but I'll get to the questions in the chat real quick. But Victor definitely wanted him to know, Trevor, boogers dry faster than that crap you used to repair the case. Yeah, Trevor punched a hole in his case, for those that don't know, and then he used the regular JB weld, not the JB Quick or the Quick Steel or any other stuff. Brooks Bodley says, I'm riding Martin's T4 this summer. That's the Wyoming to Oregon ride with tons of dirt roads. What bike should I get to do it? I have a Husqvarna FX 450. Should I get a 500 or your favorite KTM 690? That's a joke that he said. I'm not super familiar with the T4. And so he was referring to like the Tour of Idaho. He's referring to Martin Hackworth, who put together this Tour of Idaho group. So that's a east-west ride, not a north-south ride. I was under the impression it was much more of an adventure bike style of ride. So I would think that for most people, the KTM 500 style of bike is going to be a little too small, depending on your ability level. But if your ability level isn't there, it might be just the choice. But yeah, you could do it on a KTM 690. You could do it on a Cove 450. You could do it on a AJP. Yeah, I like those things. You could buy my XR 650. It's right over there. It's set up to go do that ride. You just need to do a little work on the electrical system. Perfect. So yeah, Brooks, Idaho T4. Perfect. So, here's Trevor calling again. I'm going to answer. So you hung up on me?
Yeah, I got bored.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, just have them. If they need a Climb discount code, let me know. Might be able to hook them up if it's a good friend of yours. If not, then just go pay retail.
I'm headed to their house to go ride for a week right now. So.
Oh yeah, I'll take care of them. And then also the first viewer that emails me that wants a Climb discount code, I'm giving one of those out tonight. But you have to tell me what you want from Climb, like what thing you really want. You know what you really should want? You should want this Climb Arsenal jersey. Have you seen these jerseys, Trevor, that I have? I think it's the Impact Arsenal Impact jersey or something like that. I should have done more research. It's like a super gnarly mesh. It's almost like a jersey that's a jacket and 100% vented. I'm holding it up on the camera. Beautiful. It's I can go through bushes with this thing and nothing happens. It's Jim Bartell approved.
Can it be worn on a motocross track?
Yeah, and then when you do a belly flop, I don't care. You have to look at me. But if you do a belly flop, you're much more protected. In fact, the reason I wear this is I'm always worried that something's going to punji stick me. And so instead of wearing a regular lightweight jersey, I wear this thing. It's a little bit heavier, but it's just as vented as anything else. It has a little bit of protection in the shoulders and the elbows, a little bit more substantial padding and really good. About $100. It's not cheap, but it's the only one you'll ever buy. So yeah, you could wear it on the motocross track. I don't know if you can get your name and number and all that stuff put on it like you need to have at the motocross track. But
I don't like that because when I'm going slow, people know who I am.
Yeah, that's why I don't put my name on it either.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Bob Ross asks, are the JT sprockets okay to run on a dual sport that doesn't get ridden hard? So the JT sprockets, I think, are some of the more inexpensive ones. I don't know about the quality of those in the long run. I used to run them when I was dirt cheap poor. But again,
I run them sometimes.
You do. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, they last longer than not the DDC, but they last long enough that, especially for the price, that yeah. I mean, usually I run them. I want to experiment with gearing on a bike. I'll just buy a couple different sizes of those because they're cheap. And then once I find the size I like, then I'll just run it. I wear it out. And yeah, I think they last.
Are they? So you're talking about the aluminum rear ones?
Yeah,
because I remember they used to make a lot of steel sprockets.
I think they make both.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I want to say I've run both.
Yeah. I haven't run them forever. And I mean, I'm always pretty particular about running a really high quality countershaft sprocket for the same reason. At the beginning of the show, somebody asked a question. He had a worn out countershaft shaft. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like you had a bad sprocket. So, yeah. So, yeah, Bob, if it, I don't think that ridden hard or ridden soft, it doesn't matter. It's just like, it's kind of like you just got to draw a line. Am I willing to take a risk on something that isn't like a no name brand? But you can have bad stuff happen to good brands too.
Yeah.
So, lots of different things. So I would say just keep an eye on it. Watch if it doesn't look, if the fit isn't right or whatever, and whatever. So, man with a gun is a KTM client, a climb client. Sorry, climb client. Fur fighter says, Jimmy, do you think it's important to wear body armor for traditional enduro type trails? I do not dress for the crash, because if I thought I was going to crash, I wouldn't ride my motorcycle. Yeah, and he's talking about hard body armor or armor like the Liet. I see people that dress like they're freaking NFL linebackers. And no matter what, and this, I think this goes for anybody, if the protective equipment impedes your ability to maneuver your body like you need to rethink the protective equipment, because I've seen people crash because the protective equipment binds up or doesn't allow them to move, and then they crash. So, I would say learn how to not crash so you don't need it, and then decide what kind of risk you're willing to take. If I think I'm going to kind of twist it a little bit extra, I might throw a chest protector on underneath, and it's the same with the track. I mean, a lot of times, because I'm already so fat, I don't like to put another chest protector on because it makes me look double fat for photos. Has anybody ever like said behind my back, Trevor, that, Jimmy's a little too fat to be doing photos?
Never. No.
Nobody's ever said that to you? Or they said, why do you let him do photos? Because he's kind of fat?
Never.
Well, all those ladies out there that are, lobbying for some plus size models in their world.
That's what we're bringing to the table.
I'm doing the same thing for the boys, because I don't want us guys that are getting a little bit chunky as we age. Hey, look, I'm going to the river this weekend, and I'm going to ride a sit down watercraft, and I want to make sure I look the part. So when I'm bouncing up and down off that seat, I want my belly to be juggling up and down just like the seat. So just so you know. So when you see me at the river, give me a shaka.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyways, so that's why I don't wear armor on the track. Well, only for photos. But then usually, it's how I usually go do photos. I come back, throw a chest protector on.
Yep.
Yeah. So it just depends, because of the track. I tend to, get comfortable and push it a little bit, so I don't dress for the crash. I dress to feel protected, and yeah. So that's that. I mean, it's a personal decision. If you feel like you need to dress up like a stormtrooper, dress up like a stormtrooper. Yeah, whatever. And then Doug Derby says, save some ladies for the rest of us, Jimmy. It's probably a lot easier. I got a wife, okay, but if I were just flaunting that belly out in the river, I'd probably have them flocking to me. I'd probably have a posse of jet ski honeys.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to upgrade to one of those big ass boats, to compensate for my other small thing. This is a motorcycle podcast, by the way, Trevor. And then size
doesn't matter.
Burl Fighter, I can't read the name because it's too far away. Says, thank you. I completely agree, and have downgraded my protection though throughout the years, and now focus on staying upright and comfortable on the bike. Yeah, good choice. I think that's the right thing to do. Okay. Let's see. I got to go back to some of the questions over here for you. Some of our comments. Let's see. There was another one. it says Modulate 72 says, amazing how annoying one phrase can get after only 12 minutes of repetition. Do you know what he's talking about? Modulate has one subscriber and 2 videos up.
Wow.
He has a vlog. I should play his vlog live on the show, but I'm gonna start doing that later.
You should critique it.
Yeah. And then you commented back and told somebody CRF 300L for the win.
Yep, always. The 300L didn't break down. The 450L did. So the 300 won in the long run.
It won, even though, and like I didn't hear the comment though. Victor said boogers dry faster than that stuff you used. Yeah. Thanks, Victor.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, that was pretty disappointing.
Right. So let's see. Do I have any other questions here? Let's see. Oh, and then Brooks says, thanks for your thoughts. I'll look into your suggested bikes. Not sure that gearing up the front sprocket on my FX 450 would get good cruising speeds. Yeah, you'd be fine. Go 15. So I have a KTM 500 on the ride you were talking about, Brooks. 1550 it'll go plenty fast. That's what I run down in Baja, and it's really nice. So there we go. I answer all the questions, and I set a goal on our YouTube channel because I want to rake in the bucks because we're YouTubers, Trevor.
Yep, we're influencers
and YouTubers and stuff. And somebody asked me today, hey, how much money can I make, doing YouTube? And I said, oh, you can make $300 a month. And I'm like, really? I told them if they could double our revenue, I'll give them half of what they increase right now.
Yep.
If they come in, all you have to do is make some banger clips. Like the clip last week where I talked about letting the air out of the Chinese tires. I don't know if you heard that.
I didn't hear that. I'm
not a conspiracy theorist, but I had some thoughts. And then I've been doing a lot of damage control because your little your Timu muffler. Yep, that's causing a lot of crap. See, I'm over here working on some legit stuff, testing some mufflers and some inserts and things like that from a reputable company that you have to pay, American wages. Even though most of the guys welding, they speak the Espanol, but they're probably having a hard time keeping guys in that shop right now because I've heard some stories about like every place down there.
Yeah, they're not in a good spot.
No, they've been the ice has been cruising around down there getting some stuff done. They're looking for the bad guys though. They're letting the good guys go as long as the good guys don't sign deportation orders when they get arrested. They're doing it the wrong time of year. Most of those guys like to go back around November and December to take all their money back and see the family. It's like not in the summer. It's too hot down there right now. So I don't like to comment on the political stuff. Bro, dirt bike influencers are raking it in. Oh, FX 450 is, that's a 5-speed. Yeah, no, you don't want to ride a 5. You don't want to ride a 5-speed bike. Forget it.
Wide ratio 5-speed.
But it's then first would get too tall, right?
First is really, really low on that bike. So it doesn't hurt to gear up for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, and don't do it on an FX. Just get a KTM 500. I don't know all the Husky ones. I didn't pay much attention to those white KTMs.
Well, I guess a Husky FX. Is it Husky FX or Yamaha FX?
No, Husky FX.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's just motocross 5-speed then. Yeah, never mind. Yeah,
those are horrible. That transmission is bad for off-road.
Buy Yamaha as a
yeah. Oh, yeah. I should have said that. Yeah, Brooks, you should get it. Well, actually, he's talking about doing like a long distance off road ride, and I don't even ride my Yamahas on that. So,
Yeah,
but you should still buy a Yamaha just because I told you so, because that's what I have to do on this show. I made
never have too many bikes.
I obviously made Cody Webb ride Yamahas. He's even riding a 10 right now. So just I did it first. I just want you to know. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, and Doug says I have one of them white KTM's. Yeah, I invented that term. Let's see. And everybody's waiting for Yamaha to do a street legal WR450F. Waiting. Well, see, like, you know, when Cody and Caleb Russell and those guys all started riding Yamahas, they thought they were going to bring a 350 and a thing. And when I started riding Yamahas, nobody thought they were ever going to bring a street legal dual sport bike. So like they, you know, that's just something they've never done. And it's just philosophically, they don't feel like they can make the bike work the way they want it to and be legal. I mean, look, they won't even sell a WR in California. So, hey, did your buddy use my Dirt Legal code?
I haven't even sent it to him, so no, I don't think so. But
send it to him.
He has to buy a bike first, but.
Oh, does he want to buy one? I'll sell him one. I got one ready to go.
It's for Robert Bear.
Yeah, I know Robert.
Yeah, he might know better than to buy a bike for me, though.
Oh, well, he's probably buying your test bike, right?
I think he's smarter than that.
So, yeah. Okay, let me see if there's any other questions here that they wanted to get answered. Sort by newest. Okay, apply. I don't know what happened to all the comments on your video. Something went. Enough of the size matters. I have to go back to the other thing here. Here we go. Community. Let's get back down to some of those comments here. So somebody said, and they're talking about my Yamaha WR450 full test. It says, why is my starter different? Mine's on the right and the kill switch help. So I must have had your bike in that video where you switch the starters.
Yeah.
Can you tell people why you do something so stupid?
Because all the top racers do that.
Uh-huh.
And if I want to be a top racer, I just have to do whatever they do.
So when you stall a bike, if it's a stock bike, do you push the kill button to try to get it restarted?
No, for whatever reason, my brain is trained enough to know when I'm riding what.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I remember riding that bike, and every time I would stall it, I would push the kill button and then get pissed off because you switched it.
Yeah, but most people do that. But for whatever reason, I'm pretty good at. Maybe because I do switch all the time.
Yep.
That I'm pretty familiar with just automatically going to wherever it's at.
And so and the reason you do it, just for this guy's comfort, is because you're doing dead engine starts and you want to be able to work the throttle and the kill button or the start button at the same time. Yep. I know, you know our buddy Side Panels.
Yep.
Does he switch them?
I don't know if he needs to, because he usually gets a couple minute head start.
Well, yeah, sometimes he just starts before everybody else, but he chases the rabbit off at a hare and hound. But I never changed mine on my WR450. I got a better start than him, and I think he claims he's a top racer.
I mean, he kind of is, right? Maybe.
He's broken right now. He tried to ride a mountain bike.
No.
Yeah. There's a lot of people asking me what oil I like right now. What oil do you like, Trevor?
I like Maxima.
How come they aren't sponsoring us?
They sponsor me. They want top 10 Big Bear finishers.
Well, you DNF this year.
I hope hopefully I get renewed for next year. But after last year, they were really impressed. So.
Hey, did you have to pay an entry?
I paid full retail, $215. I support it.
Is that what that thing costs to do?
If you sign up the day of, yeah.
But you've been planning that thing for a year.
Yeah, but I know I never like, oh, I don't know, maybe we'll see. I mean, I only save like $20 if I do the 2 weeks before.
Okay.
But at that point, I'd just rather just in case.
Yep. Right on. Yeah, I'm not seeing any more questions for you here on the chats. Mostly they're all people telling me how awesome my amazing podcast is.
I ran into a guy at SRA on Sunday. And he made a point to come up to me and say how much he enjoys our site and our videos and everything. And he bought a Honda 450, a 2023 Honda 450. He did all the modifications and torque specs, everything we did. It really helped him. And so there's people actually, at least one person paying attention to what we're doing.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Hey, you know what? If you can just help one person, Trevor, every life matters. Every life matters.
Every life matters.
So if you just help one person, you've done a good thing.
We've done one thing at least.
One good thing. Okay, I'm going to let you get going because the comments are piling up. If I have any questions come up here, I'll. And Victor has a question. He says, "Can I use the Dirt Legal code to get a green card for my Primo?" I'll check on that. So, okay, Trevor, we'll catch you. Have a fun time riding up in the mountains. Don't get struck by lightning.
I'll try not to.
Okay, and then if the seat height's too tall, just cut the seat down and then lower the suspension a couple inches.
Oh, that works every time.
Okay, see ya.
See ya.
That was Trevor Hunter, everybody. Even though I give him a hard time, he's Dirt Bike Test's main tester. He's come a long ways. Used to not talk. Bob Ross, what brand of oil do you like? I like oil. I like to have oil where I need oil, and I like to have lubricants where I need lubricants. And if you are an oil company looking to sponsor this podcast, I will like your oil a lot, and I will say its name many times over and over again. Just like I say Yamaha, because Yamaha makes really good dirt bikes, and Climb, because Climb makes really good gear. And honestly, with very few exceptions, I haven't used an oil that I didn't like. Okay. So, and man, I'm loose on the oil sometimes, but there are some certain chemicals that work really good that are certain brands and stuff. And I'd love to talk about them a lot. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see. Firefighter. Are you still involved with the guys in the Pacific Northwest who guide? Like Jake. I don't know that they guide, or I'm not sure what these guys are doing up there. I was partnered with Paul Neff doing schools, and both of us got out of it due to the cost of insurance. So I need to update my website to say that we're taking a break at least this year, because basically insurance costs just went up to a level that was a little bit astronomical. It's a shame. I used to enjoy doing them, but the problem is that's not my main job. And since it's not my main job, I can't afford to be insured all the time. So there's options. There's a way I could do it again, but at the moment, no. And then I can't do events either because I need to be insured to go up and do the events, because the events don't carry that kind of insurance. Mark Daniels says, "Good evening. Cheers to you, Mark Daniels. This is not tequila. It's hot out, and I'm drinking the last of my my Canadian buddies. It might be something like a rum and coke, maybe some Gibson's in there. So, Yep. yeah, Jake and Paul and Maria were helping us teach teach our schools, and they were awesome coaches. And they really helped our program. And it's funny because people are always asking me like, "Hey, Jimmy, I want to come train. I can't do it. Who do I go and see?" And I don't have anybody to recommend. In all honesty, most of these guys out there that are doing this, I mean, they're just get your elbows up and stand up. I watched a video, unfortunately, of a guy that came to my school, and now he's posting videos all the time. He's at another school, and I'm looking at him, and they obviously told him he needs to bend at the hips and he needs to get his elbows up. And I watched him ride by, and I said, "Good God, can you be in a more awkward position?" Because if he would have let go of the handlebars, he would have fell over the front of the bike because he was hanging on so tight with it, and he was in such an awkward position that anytime the bike hit a bump, it bounced him around. You know, it's like, yeah, watch Jet Lawrence ride. He bends at the hips and he's loose as fuck, but you're not accelerating as hard as that guy, and you don't need to be putting your body in that position because the position is relative to what the bike's doing. There's not a body position. The body position is called balanced. I don't know anybody that teaches that properly. Oh, people try. There's a lot of people that came to my class. The next thing you know, they have a school and they're teaching and whatever. So don't make me go on a rant about that. Yeah, just get your elbows up, bro, and you're fucking fine. Yeah, elbows up. Do the X of traction. The axis of evil. and then you got the guys that are they're smart people and they think they've got it all figured out. And then they'll tell you can ride an adventure bike off-road on a street tire. Good fucking luck. Anyways, Brooke says KTM 690 or Tenere were two bikes I was looking at options outside of a 500. Okay, like that's a really dumb question to ask me. Do you want to guess? Come on, everybody in the comments in the chat right now. I have a T-shirt, good team with a bad name, Focky Racing. I have a T-shirt for the person who decides between those two bikes which one he should get. The show is sponsored by Yamaha. Let's see. Victor says, you should teach some classes in Baja. No insurance needed there. Yeah, you just pay the cartel. Okay, Mark. Send me your address. Not in the chat. Send it through an email. You win. I hope I don't know what size it is, but you're getting whatever size it is. Dennis, there we go. Where's Dennis from? Did you put some antennas on your reindeer or something like that to get the show? Okay, where were we at? Let's see. Oh, George says, if you're going to rant, how do you feel about one-piece Aerostitch suit for Moto? I don't know, George. You probably would have worn that if you not ran into me. Yeah. So good call. And Mark, if you don't send me that email, then I'm not gonna. It has to be an email because otherwise I won't know how to. I won't remember that this even happened. I like the whole podcast. I actually have you seen that thing in that movie, The Men in Black, where they shoot you and you forget everything? I do that after this show every week. So we're going to move into everybody's favorite segment. This is brought to you by Taco Moto. This segment is called Roost or Endo. And cue up the music that I don't have. Put up the cool logo that I don't have. We're not going to do that. But I have a screen here for you. I actually made a screen. Look at that. Roost or Endo, brought to you by Taco Moto. Taco Moto gives the winner of this segment a $100 gift certificate most of the time so that they can buy more than $100 worth of stuff at Taco Moto. They make really cool stuff for your dirt bike. They're making the new snorkel pump. If fuel pump that's almost out already. And that's why Mike's so busy, but they have ECUs and all kinds of cool gizmos and gadgets and tricky stuff. And they have t-shirts too. So tacomoto.co, not com, tacomoto.co. So this is Ryan. Ryan says, fan of the podcast, would like to submit my ride for Rooster Endo to subsidize my Tacomoto bill. Okay, good. But he's already spending some money. This bike is a 25 XC300W in the wild near someplace where they live underground. Okay. It's missing a rear fender due to a failed splatter attempt on a vertical rock face. If you wouldn't have told me that, I wouldn't have known because it's hard to see in the photo. But engine, he has the TPS trimmings, high compression head, power valve cover, and ERM. V-Force 4X reads, remove the oil tank pump, and he's mixing gas. Okay. So you can do it better than KTM. That's good. I can't. So I just leave mine alone. But we're not comparing each other's bike because mine's a 2019. Suspension, only springs for my generous heft. Best stock suspension I've ever ridden. Have you read the forums? Because everybody hates the suspension on that bike. I thought it was pretty good too, by the way. Here's some mods: molecule skid plate, enduro flag handguards, enduro hog case guards, BPD fork lug, throttle body guards, Emperor Racing radiator guards. Okay. Oh, well, here we go. Because I was just gonna say this. I was just gonna go off script like I always do and say so. I've always used Bud's products in the past, but supporting a great Canadian company this time. I guess if you guys are all running into each other underground in the tunnels all the time, you got to support. We got to support. So you guys do your thing. 7602 Racing rear disc guard. Again, sorry, Bud. And Bud's Bulletproof Designs. Bulletproof Designs is one of our sponsors. I have Bulletproof Designs products on my bikes to protect them, but you do your Canadian thing. I was going to judge, but I'm not going to judge because pretty soon we're going to buy you guys, evidently. And then when you're our 51st state, you don't have to pay all those high tariffs again. And then we can all get along and you can buy Bud's stuff again. Bulletproof Designs, supporting dirt bike tests for a long time. Power Parts radiator fan. Trail Tech is a better fan, but wanted one controlled by the ECU. Wow. You can tell this guy's a viewer of the show because he's talking all of our sponsors. He's plugging my sponsors for me, which I like: tubeless front and rear, cross-link component swing arm guards. Okay. And now he's going to tell me some other stuff. You will say the YZ is a better bike. When Cody's Bikes becomes production, I will be the first one on the pre-order list. I'm a Yamaha guy through and through. I have a 21 T7 and a 2010 TW200, and his first bike was a YZ125. Thanks, Ryan. I think that you're blowing pretty hard. But there's his bike, everybody. We're looking at that thing. It looks like he uses it. It's definitely got some use on it. He could definitely use that Tacomoto money, although it's going to get cut in half because it goes up to Canada. It's not worth that much, but $100 American is pretty good. So we're taking a look at. I'm just doing the close up on it because I don't want to unfairly judge there. So we're looking at a 2025 KTM 300. I'm going to just tell you a couple things here, Ryan. Have you ever heard us talk about how it's disrespectful to turn your front wheel away from the bike when you're taking the picture, away from the camera? I think you're supposed to turn it. See, the Bulletproof Designs ad comes right up there. Bike would be so much better with the Bulletproof Design stuff on there. So I want to go riding there. That looks like some nice wet dirt, something we don't have out here in Valley of the Dirt People right now. But it looks like you rode up out of your cave and then just took a picture and then went right back down underground. And I'm a little disappointed in the picture. So, but other than that, I like it. I don't know. We're gonna see what the chat says about your bike. And Brooks says sorry for the 690 trolling. It's Poke the Bear night. Yeah. The answer is Husaberg. It's always the answer. In fact, would it be really strange if I just got up right now and rolled a Husaberg in here, just because I want everybody to see what the winner of Rooster Endo should look like. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab a little sip here, and just because I can do this. Most people don't have a Husaberg at their beck and call at any moment. Just so you know. So there's a Husaberg. I should actually move myself out of the way so you can see it. But what does everybody think of Ryan's bike? Waiting for the chat messages to pop up here. And am I poking the bear? Because is that what you're calling Canadian dudes now? Is bears? And Doug says he has a Berg in the kitchen on the stand because it's cooking. That's right, Doug. I understand that. Okay, we're going to move on to our next Rooster Endo submission. Let me call up my notes here so I can do that. This next bike, amazing. Turn this one off and turn this one on. This one, there we go. Amazing. It's another 23 KTM 300. This time an XCW. And this is Asher. He says kindly, I have already won Rooster Endo, but my work bike for Idaho Department of Parks and Recreation bike has not. I won't be able to listen live as wherever he's at in Idaho has no cellular Wi-Fi. I download the podcasts on weekends when I'm in town. So Asher is going from pounding hoops in San Diego to doing the Lord's work up in Idaho, clearing trails. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed in the background over there, I got my chainsaw mounted on my KTM 300. I got my Bill Dart chainsaw rack. I'll probably take my camera over there and show you guys that in a little while. But anyways, here's his bike. 2023 KTM 300 XCW, Cycra Pro handguards, P3 carbon pipe guards. My personal Enduro Engineering chainsaw mount because they had a Midwest Mountain Engineering mount, but it got stolen. So interesting. I just got that chainsaw rack because all my chainsaw racks were rear racks on older bikes, and I don't have racks for my newer bikes. And I've been carrying chainsaws in backpacks and borrowing racks. And I finally said, I'm going to get one. I know Bill Dart from a long, long time ago, and I've seen his racks in use. And I just decided to go there and do that. If you want to know how to get one of those, let me know. And then when you buy them from Bill, tell him I sent you. But I looked at all the other ones. I used the Enduro Air Engineering one, and I have my thoughts on all the different ones. I have not used the Midwest Mountain one, but I looked at it, and it seems a little more specific to a certain kind of chainsaw, and I always change in my saw. So anyways, on this bike, giant loop Mojave saddlebags, SXX skid plate, and a Stihl MS 251C chainsaw. He says, surprisingly, I was listening to last week's episode of Tech Talk Taco Tuesday when this photo occurred. There was excess brush on the high side of the trail that pushed me to the outer edge of the trail, at which point the trail gave out. It took my partner and I some good huffing, but we got back on the trail and they rode for another 6 hours afterwards. So these guys are out cutting the trees and opening up trails. And good on them. I'm pretty sure that whatever I said caused you to ride off the side of the trail, if you were listening to this podcast. But I'm not sure why you're listening to a podcast while you're riding on the trail. The trails are exciting enough to not need to make me have them worse. So thank you for your service. What do I think of this bike? You can comment as well in the comments. I think I rode off the trail to the exact same spot going the other direction on my tour of Idaho. So if you want to watch the tour of Idaho video, it's someplace up on the internet. It's on YouTube on Dirt Bike Test. I was riding along and I clipped I think it was a log or a rock. I don't remember what happened. No, the time I went off the side of the trail, I don't remember. It got thin and I was on a kind of a heavy bike and it didn't go very good. Where's your chainsaw at? It didn't go flipping down the hill, did it? And yeah, there's a way to get those back up. Just one wheel at a time, piece by piece. But yeah, thanks for your work, and we do appreciate it here. So going back to the comments, have you ever complimented any rooster endo photography entry? Ron, yeah, I have. That photo, see, at least Asher's photo was, taken outside in a real world situation. It wasn't a great photo of the bike, but at that point, I don't care because he showed his bike off the side of a cliff. So no. And Fur Fighter, Bill is the man, legendary Pacific Northwest rider who did and still does much amazing work volunteering, clearing trails. I had his maps before GPS came to the norm. Yeah, he there's a lot of love-hate with Bill because of the maps and stuff like that. And he actually was Reno. He was up in Reno. He was part of the Carson City qualifier, and I don't remember the name of the club. But that one of the very first ISD qualifiers I ever did, he was a main guy in that club. He definitely did a lot of stuff for the trying to keep riding trails open, and was definitely an advocate for all that. And still to this day, I know, his saw racks and stuff are out there doing work. So there's a time and a place for promoting kind of trails and stuff, but I think it's gone overboard with certain people. Not to go on another rant, but there's too many dipshits, consumers that just ride and try to tell everybody where to go riding. These guys don't work on trails. They don't cut trails. You never see them with a chainsaw, but they're the first guys to grab 5 dudes and take them out there and go. And there's these other POSs that sell GPS track logs they go find the good stuff. So they go riding all the time. They hook up with these other guys that'll show them all their good stuff, and then they sell the track logs. And it's I've heard of these guys that actually go and do an event. They go and pay to do an event and then resell the track logs, which is crap. So I think there's just too much of it. I'll just tell you, my personal rule is I take buddies and we go trail riding, but these guys never know when we're going to stop and work on trails. We may go riding 10 miles and go someplace where we're going to clear brush for 4 hours. We're going to go riding. We're going to take, the chainsaw, the big saw, and we're going to cut and move some stuff. So it's how you earn your passage. And if you bitch or complain about that, you don't go riding where I go. And when I go to other people's places, when I go to other areas, I take my saw and I'll clear, or I try to hook up with a local group and work with them a little bit. I don't just consume. I try to be productive. And if everybody was like that, and the minute you work on trails, if everybody was like that, we'd have a lot better trail systems. And once you get some people to work on trails, they quit being dipshits. They're a little more protective of the trails. They'll actually go to meetings to keep trails open. They will take some tools out and work on them every once in a while. There's states that have really good clubs that do a lot of work, and there's states that take their OHV money Unlike California, they take the OHV money and they put it back in, and they support the groups that are keeping stuff, open. So thank you, Asher. And he's getting paid. He's getting paid to do that, which is good. I mean, those are paying jobs. If you want a good job, a good summer job, there's some trail clearing jobs where you can go ride all day long and clear trails, which after a while you realize it's a lot of work. So that's the thing. Okay, Roosterendo. There's Asher's bike again. State property, just chucked off the edge of a trail. But doesn't that look good? Still moisture in the ground and everything. That's nice. Okay. Our last Roosterendo is Harlan. Harlan has a 21 FE 350. He has a Recluse EXP 4.0, DDC 51 tooth rear, flex bars, a Chirby's LED lamp, Pro Moto billet end cap, Vortex ECU, a Chirby's plastic skid plate, Cycra hand guards, uncomfortable Chirby seat. There's a company called Seat Concepts that can fix that. But your seat, you may not know this, but your seat has an air pump. You could pump air in and out of that. Just so you know. Shinko cheater rear tire, Tusk something front. I hope when you bought that Tusk something front, you clicked through the link we have on Dirt Bike Test. So if you're listening to the show, you want to help support this show, you can pay $5 to be a special commenter, but nobody wants to do that. Or you can click through the link at Rocky Mountain MCA TV, and we can get a little small chunk of your. You don't save any money, and you save money by shopping there because their prices are pretty good, and you'll get it really quick. But we don't really. We get a little percentage because we're influencers and YouTubers. So just go to that. Same thing for our Dirt Legal link now. Go to that bar that says support on www.dirtbiketest.com. Click on the link. Click on those things. If you're ever just clicking around there, click on our ads. Go see where, when you go check out the Yamaha ads, because if you see a Monster Energy Edition YZ250F, you've got to have one. And then you can find a local Yamaha dealer and they'll take it. So anyways, this is Harlan's bike. Photo was taken someplace in, okay. So, because I don't like to talk about locations. That bike looks pretty good. I want to know why it's leaning on a tree. Because those bikes usually have a kickstand. I'm trying to blow the photo up here so we can see this a little bit better. They usually have a kickstand, and I don't see a kickstand on your bike. I want to go riding there because you're up nice and high in the mountains. Where's your kickstand? On the other side? I can't see it. Let me check to make sure. No, it should be on that side. Broken off. Trail Tech makes a really nice kickstand. You got some baggage there. I see the handle for a little trail saw. I'm hoping that's good. You got a lot of stuff packed up around that handlebar. I don't know what's going on there, but it's well protected. Looks like you could use some bulletproof design stuff, especially for your chain guide. That little piece they make that goes down on your chain guide there will save you a lot of money when you whack that thing. I know your DDC sprocket's going to do good, but that's it. The flex bars, of course, you're riding in the maximum comfort. All the things, tires are okay, all good. So, anyways, that's our last one. That's not a bad photo because at least the handlebar isn't turned away from the thing. So let's see if we have any other thing. Victor's calling everybody traders, and Derek Brotherson is giving me a shaka. I think because he's like an hour behind on the show and the chats and the comments. And I said, oh, he's going to see me on a watercraft out throwing the belly. Let's see. Rant away says fur fighter. Couldn't agree more. Social media, GPS, other has done a lot more damage to some of our formerly amazing single track. Luckily, we still have guys who put in a lot of time in the trail work. Correct. Chris says, amen. Thanks. And George says, I vote for the trail bike guy. So the trail bike guy, that would be Asher. You vote for the guy whose bike was off the side of the cliff. So here's the thing. Asher's won before. If we can't give it to Asher, but I know I could give it to him and he would give it to the guys that who he works for so they could get parts for their bikes. Obviously they got their chainsaw rack stolen off the front of the bike, which I don't know how that happens in that state, but geez. And everybody's saying Felipe Bob just joined the show and he says hello. So that's where we're at on the thing. So I'm going to look really quick at the Roosterendos again. We have Harlan's bike here. I honestly, as far as the bikes go, I don't know why I like that. I think I like it because of where it's at. I want to be there more than I want to be there. But that'd be a nice place too. And then the other one here, I don't want to be there. I mean, I want to be there, but I don't want to be there. So here's our thing. You know what? I'm gonna 100% go with the comments in the chat. I'm gonna let you guys let's see. That's Harlan. That's the Husky. That is Ryan. Ryan's from Canada. And then, of course, we have Asher, who is from, we'll just say, Idaho. And Bob's telling me it's buffering, and I'm going to tell Bob to get a better connection because I've got all green lights here, buddy. 100%. Here, I'll buffer a little bit real right here. Well, yeah, that should have caught up. So, like I was telling you, we have some stuff. I'm gonna go. So while you guys kind of chat away and figure out who won, you guys will figure it out. Right now, we have one vote for Asher and one vote for the Husky. And Ruben Chavez says, Jimmy, have you considered promoting a dual sport ride? After I just went on a rant about if I was going to do a dual sport ride, I would want to take it on the best trails. But I don't want to have everybody that wants to pay their $45 and go and wreck a bunch of trails and never come back. So no, I don't want to promote that kind of stuff. I've promoted races and even in Mexico, when I'm working with Nora and we're picking really good roads and stuff to take people on for the Mexican 1000 and now the Mexican 500. By the way, you guys wanted, not you guys, but the racers claim they wanted to have bikes at the 500. Now's the time to go sign up and put your deposit down because if we don't have 10 riders, forget it. And Asher, and he needs a tugger. Yeah, right, Chris. Yeah, my dual sport ride that is the Nora. So it's not a dual sport ride; it's a rally. But you can look at a rally as like a glorified dual sport ride. You know, because dual sport rides evidently are races and you can compete in them. Where Nora is just the best 1,000 miles you'll ever do in Baja, and it's a real race, unlike the things that Trevor does in his side job. Yeah. No, I don't want to promote a dual sport ride because a lot of guys are just the dual sport. Some of these guys are just consumers and they come and they ride and they'll never come back and work on it. If I did a dual sport ride, it'd be like some of these trail races. When I used to run long distance trail races, you couldn't get an entry unless you did 24 hours of trail maintenance. You had to log 24 hours of certified trail maintenance, and then you could get an entry to some of these races. And that community has no problem putting in the work. I mean, if you're trail running, if you're trail running, obviously you have nothing better to do with your life because that's a really stupid thing to do anyways. So it's like, oh, I'll go do trail maintenance. That's fun. Where maybe riding, it's like, yeah. I did promote Jerry Counts, and there is Jerry doesn't use. I'll tell you what, if Jerry's on the same page as me. Jerry has way better routes than he puts you on. Jerry puts you on, and I know this because I've known Jerry forever, and we talk about trails all the time. And Jerry goes out and builds trails, and some of his trails need to be ridden because they're so far and remote. And this is what I was going to say about Nora. Even when I'm doing Lenora, some of these places, you can't go there unless you have the infrastructure of our race, whether legally we're getting permission for you to go there, and that's good, or it's so remote, you can't get fuel there unless we work on that. And Jerry does some of that stuff, but Jerry also has a trail network that you'll never see, and he never put it in dual sport rides because he knows better. But there's the same thing, just like some of these Insta idiots that go and they want to be internet famous and they start posting trails and they go, look, I rode the best trail ever. And it's like, it's not the best trail ever in 2 more weeks because now every donkey that didn't know where that was, and you're going to sell them the track log or show them where the track log is. Go ahead and ride. If you want to have a dual sport ride through shit and I can put my name on it legitimately, I would do that. I could put you a pretty good loop around Jawbone Canyon. And then you could do it. So, anyways, there, yeah. I got that off my chest. Hey, okay. So you guys keep telling me which bike Asher is winning right now, I think, on the thing. If he's well, he can't be. See, he would be watching right now and he'd tell me he doesn't want to win. He already knows that he can't win, but I'm pretty sure Taco Mike would like to support what he's doing. I know that we collectively would like to support what he's doing. There's a lot of stuff there. So I hate to take it away from the other guys, but you could have sent it in last week and then your chances would have been a lot better to win. Okay, I'm gonna go over to the thing and talk about mufflers over here. We try to do a little bit of education on the show. So these are my FMF mufflers that I've been testing. These are FMF Qs. So and this is one. These are for Yamaha WR250s. I have my 450 here, which is essentially, I'll go and turn it around. So it's funny. It looks almost the same, but believe it or not, it's a little bit longer, kind of on the nose here. But so what I've been testing is internally. So the FMFQ has gone through a lot of itinerations. I work with George Ludig down there a lot when he's got a crazy idea, especially when it comes to sound and rideability. He'll ask me to ride and test some different stuff. So what we got here is a lot of different inserts, and these are the things that go inside of here like this. So they slide in, and generally because everybody goes, oh, that's an emissions device, and they just throw it out. I don't want my muffler. I need loud. That's just slowing my bike down. If you take these things and if you take this out of your muffler, and it comes with it, if you run this muffler like this, it sucks. Even the motocross ones, even when they're selling you their power cores and they come with the inserts, if you take it out, it may make, well, I know what it does. It makes more noise. For sure, it makes more noise. But if you take, and these all have spark arresters, because this is a spark arrestor muffler, and the spark arrestor is this. It's the screen, the perf screen material here. There's no spark arrestor anyplace else inside of this. And like a Power Core 4 it's essentially this without some of the different chambering or some of the different perf in it, depending on what it is. The latest Q4, they came up with something. So for about the last year and a half, from my understanding, is there's something new inside of here, which people would say, oh, that's an emissions device. It's a baffle. It's inside of there. And the very first time I rode it on a KTM 500, which is one of these mufflers, not this one, because this one is kind of straight through. If I took this out, this is a straight through muffler, and it'd be just like any of their Power 4 core ones, even though this one is this is okay. So this is the RCT 41. I have a bunch of these. I forget which one's which, so I don't. My other ones are Qs. I think it was at a time when you could only get race mufflers for the KTM 450s SXs, but they worked on the 500 EXCs because they also have to be very careful about selling stuff that go on street legal bikes because California, right? So anyways, so if you're pulling these things out that they come with them, you're probably making a big mistake. It's louder, but it's definitely not as rideable, and it definitely doesn't have as much power over the entire range of the power band. So something to know. Whoop. We're trying to get this thing going here again. I broke my internets. There we go. Wide shop. Turn this thing down here. So here we go. Stay. I don't know how to make my own show work. Let's see. I got to turn the tracking off on this thing. There we go. So back to the mufflers here. So anyways, don't take these out. So each one of these, believe it or not, is a little bit, there's something a little bit different. There's on these ones here, this one is the smaller one that comes in most of the Qs. It's got more of a turn down. This is another kind of prototype one. Again, one that's slightly different with a bigger opening. So today I was trying all of these different tips in and out of two different mufflers. One was the older Q without the baffling in it, and one's the newer Q. This is the new one. This is the older one. And it's pretty substantial. It makes a big difference. The new Q is really good. I remember the very first time I didn't look on it, I just bolted it on. I just bolted it on up to the on a KTM 500, and I'm like, hey, this thing got quieter and it doesn't pop on decel, and it just had better kind of torque on and off throttle is what I noticed. So they have something new in here that really helps with on and off throttle. So of course my Yamahas are kind of snappy. Cody Webb and I were talking about this last week, and especially on my 250, I want a little bit more. I want it when I turn the throttle off and then I turn the throttle back on, I want it to pick up a little bit different. And so I play with the mapping all the time, and I did it with a stock muffler, which is right over there. And then I put the old Q on, and then I changed it because it takes a little bit different fueling, of course, because it's richer. And then I got the new one, and bingo. So I'm super happy with that. And in fact, so the difference between this, you have these two different tips. Everybody thinks, oh, the bigger one's better. For some things, yes. And I will probably be changing this based on what I'm doing with the bike. And the crazy thing is, the more I would be doing like desert, top end desert stuff, the more I would go with the smaller tip because it pulls better on top. I mean, it's a little bit different. Like this one revs out quicker and it revs through the power band quicker, but this one uses the top end even more. So if you can really keep it on the pipe, this one's better. This is quieter. It's probably 2 decibels quieter into your ears, when you're riding and stuff. This one has more pickup. Like, so once it starts pulling, it seems like you can go deeper into the throttle and the bike will pull a little bit more, where the smaller one won't pull as much. But always with that new baffling, it seemed like it worked better. So that was my take on all that stuff. So that's my tech tip. Don't pull the freaking insert out of your muffler. And if you're a motocross guy and you're doing it, like, actually, I was talking to George today, and he said that the motocross guys are actually starting to catch on. They're leaving the inserts in. They're seeing that you know, and there's definitely the sound regulations are coming down for the professional riders. So they're having to be more careful about this. But guys that are learning about rideability, it's not just, I just need to make my bike louder and faster and all this stuff. Sure, some of the stock mufflers can definitely be improved on and they are kind of quiet, but don't get your, even if it's an FMF, even if it's a different one, you know, Acropoic is really good with sound. Yosh has some good sound stuff. Don't pull that insert out. They put it in there for a reason. Hey, this thing isn't cheap. This is, they wouldn't put it in there because if they didn't need it, and if they didn't put it in there, it would cost less or they'd make more money. So think about that when you go to do your thing. So, yeah, another rant, right? Okay. Let's see. Got some questions. Big Bear has sweet trails. How much ointment is too much? Jerry, that's the question that you have to pay $5 to have answered. But I will tell you, let me go back over here to the shop cam. Let me get this thing down here. So here's another thing. This is something that people probably want to know. So ointment, you talk about ointment. So this inside of here, you know, like I said, when this goes inside of here, like so, is this the one I want to run? No, I want to run this one. I'm going to put this thing back together right now. And so you want to make sure that this lip around here is clean when it goes back in there. And then you notice, especially on the FMFs, or actually a lot of mufflers, this junction, you want to make sure this is clean, and it doesn't totally fit right in there. But what I do is, let me grab the tool. Let me push the follow on the, see if this thing will work with me. I'm going to move this thing off the screen, and then I can go track. Here we go, like this. So if the sound cuts out, start dropping a bunch of comments because it could be time for the battery to go. So here's my trick for putting these things in here, and so getting them in and out. And so what I use a pair of vice grips, and I'll take it, and then I clamp on here. And it's easier on the smaller diameter ones because in the bigger diameter ones, there's enough room for it to fit inside of there. So let me see if it'll track my hands. Follow my hand. Look at that. Find my hands. Okay, there we go. So what I do is sometimes when I just put them in, I can just put them in and then just tap on them. So it's not a big deal. So I tap it. You just want to, and you kind of hear it get a little bit kind of stiff inside there. You want to make sure it's going in straight, and you don't want to, beat the crap out of it, but tap that guy in there till it goes all the way in. They have these nice little clips that you just roll in. If you look, the clip has one end, and it'd be really hard to see on camera, but there's a little end of this clip that sticks up. You want to make sure that's on the outside, and then you just feed this clip back into the circle, and then I will use like a pick, and I'll grab my pick real quick. Where's my pick? Pick or small screwdriver. Here we go. I got him here. So pick or small screwdriver. Come back. Follow my hands. There we go. So pick or small screwdriver, and I just take, like I said, find the clip that sticks out. You want that to be on the outside because basically you want your pick to be able to go in and grab that thing when you're removing it. And then you just feed this guy in here. And what I'll do is I'll push it in there, and then I'll take my pick or my screwdriver and force it down into the ringland, and then you just start following it around so it can't pop back up, and it'll just feed itself right into that little groove. Like so. A lot easier when it's on the bike, actually, because then it's not wobbling around. So go in there like so and spinning that thing around. Come on, sucker. It keeps moving when I try to push it in there. I can make this look way harder than it really is. And it's going in there like so. I got to brace it. I need 2 hands. Put it like so, like that. There we go. Now I've mounted the muffler. If you don't like that, then figure out. There we go. Much easier when it doesn't walk away from you. So you just spin that thing around like that, and that's in there. And that thing's totally stuck. If you want to, you can tap on it like that to make it sit. But then how do you get it out? So this is where I take the pick and you find the part that's raised, and it comes up right here like this. And a lot of times, especially when it's muddy, that's hard to get out. And that's where you're going to want to put the lube, as they say. I'm going to try to see if I can zoom into this thing and see what we go in there. So what I've done is I forced the pick down in there, and I'm going to run this thing around. If I just take this pick and work its way around, you can see that ring kind of pop out. Bang, and it's out just like that. So now I have the muffler. Here's where it gets, because it'll get gummy and stuff in there. So you want to squirt some lube in there. So whatever you want to use, any sort of like penetrant lube, stuff like that. And then I take the vice grips, and they have a really good set of teeth on them. And especially on the bigger ones, which I'll put here in a minute, it's hard to get it in there, but you clamp it on there, and then you take, and I will get my little hammer right here. So you take the hammer, and then you just tap on the vice grip. So you're not, you don't want to really kind of twist it, because sometimes they're not all that straight. But if you just tap on the vice grip, because it's a tight fit, and then it pulls right out. So see, if you want to be a bro with the track, just take this thing out and throw it away, because this is an emissions device. Anyways, but when you put the bigger one in, if you watch the bigger one go in, and this one's clean. Like, here's the difference between these two right here. This one's been in the bike for a while, and from washing and just riding in mud and stuff, it's a little bit of corrosion. Before I'd put that back in there, I would clean that out, and then I'll also take something and clean that hole out as well. So same thing, get it lined up here. Again, it's kind of a tight fit. I can tap on it just lightly. You want to keep it just like setting a bearing inside there. You want to keep it nice and smooth and flat. But when that thing gets in there, there's not a lot of room to get this vice grip in there. So when I go to clamp this vice grip, I'm only going to get like a little tiny bit, just a little bit of grip in there. There's just not enough room for the vice grip to fit past it. But it's the same sort of thing where I'll get that in, clamp it on, make sure it pinches nice and tight. And see, it's a little bit loose right there, but then it stops. And if I just pull on it, it goes. So then that's when I start tapping again. So tap on it, pop it a little bit, and then it comes right out. So that's that's your tech tip for the night: how to tap an insert out of a muffler. Hopefully that was helpful. I've struggled with that in the past. That's why I'm doing it right now. So force it, tap it, need some tweezers. And how much ointment do you need? A lot, evidently. So guess what, Roosterendo? Asher, you're a winner. I'll talk to you. If you don't win, who gets second place? By the way, who would get second place if Asher can't accept that Taco Moto? That's tacomoto.co. They are big sponsor of the show, been helping us forever. So they give you money. Sometimes they give me money, but they give you money. I have to up their rates. Walmart Candles asks, do you recommend temp gauges? So I run them all the time because most of my bikes have them, whether it's on my Trail Tech Voyager Pro, or there's a temperature gauge on my Trail Tech radiator fan kit. So I have them. If you get your bike super hot, I would say it'd be good to kind of know what that smells like and what that feels like. What's funny is I wonder if my Yamaha Power Tuner app has the temperature gauge. I'm pretty sure it does, because I've been doing a lot of tuning with that thing lately. But I'm usually just sending maps, and I'm going to try to look and see if when it connects to the bike, it's trying to connect to my bike, but it can't find it. Let's see if I go to my gauges here. Because it has the ambient temperature. Yeah, water temperature. So even my Yamaha Power Tuner app, which I have right here, would show the thing. And I'll actually show you this thing work, just because if I go over here and tap my bike, that should fire it up. We'll see if it's going to find my bike. I might have to go into my Wi-Fi settings and check it out here. I'm going to go Wi-Fi here. It's looking for my network. So this is how easy it is to connect to your bike and send maps. So it's working. There we go. I'm connected to my Yamaha now. So if I go here, and then now I can see throttle position and a couple other things when I go to the bike. So let's see what happens. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a muffler on it right now, so I don't necessarily. There we go. So it tells me the air temperature is 28 degrees Celsius and the water temperature is 28 degrees Celsius. My battery is at 12.1 volts. It gives me my weather settings and a couple other things. It shows fuel accumulation and some other stuff. And there's RPM and attack and all this stuff like that. So anyways, why do you want a Yamaha? Because you get a free Power Tuner app that even if you don't have a Yamaha, you can have this app. And other manufacturers are scared to give this to you because it's a very powerful tool that makes your bike awesome just for you. So yeah, Yamaha's come with free temperature gauges. But anyways, the best thing to do with your temperature gauge, here's another tech tip for the night, is if you use your clutch a lot, watch how quickly you can heat up your coolant with your clutch. People never believe me on that, but it's true. That's where most of the heat is coming from on your bike. Let's see if I had any other questions. I knew there was some stuff. Oh, here we go. We have some more YouTube comments. We'll get to this, and that's going to probably be the end of our amazing show. Cass Methes says from Tech Talk Taco Tuesday 249, wow, great info. Fuel line degradation is a thing these days. Dang it. So I think I answered his question about that. Somebody says, fantastic interviews between two greats in the motorcycle world. Yeah, it was nice to have Gary Smith from Sportsman Cycle. See, I remembered his name now. And Cody Webb on the same show. And those two guys are definitely legends. And then, people were stoked that we had Cody Webb in the show. Here's the Recluse clutch. Gearbedden 4977 says, what's the average lifetime for the Radius X auto clutch on a KTM 1290? Well, since I've never ridden a Radius X clutch on a KTM 1290, I can't answer that question. So that's the 10th question. 9 out of 10 without a reference manual. And that one I don't know. But here's the truth of that question. It depends on the rider, because that rider could be doing third and fourth gear starts all the time and stupid stuff like that, and you could wear it out in 20 minutes, maybe 10. If you do it properly, understand how that clutch works and the way to operate it, that clutch could last the life of the motorcycle. I have them in some of my KTMs that I put them in when they were pretty new. I've never taken them out, and I don't know if I've, in normal use, worn out a KTM clutch, period. Because the KTM clutches are some of the best. And I don't know if I've ever, in normal use, because I've done excessive use, and I have worn out clutches, recluse clutches, but it was for a specific test. It was a durability type of thing. And we knew what we were doing. We were trying to smoke. We were seeing what it took to smoke them. And so, yeah, I've done it. And I feel like an idiot when I do it, because you have to be really mean to the motorcycle. Somebody says the KLX is basically a KDX with modern plastic and a 4-stroke engine. Well, yeah, I'd try to make some analogy, but it's like, yeah, my Dodge truck is basically a Ford Raptor with made it a different company, but not as off-road capable. The frame has won countless hard enduro competition. Excellent genetics for difficult trails. Not a KLX 300, not even close. I probably have the biggest win ever on a KLX 300, and that would be the Incas Rally back in I don't know what year, and I forget all the time. Somebody says, what desert bike reigns supreme? Danny Hamill's KX500 versus Johnny Campbell's XR650. The 650 shaped with vengeance. 500 is stable at speed. Says Terry Turner with some number behind his name. The next question. Okay. CTAC says, how would you dewater a Yamaha Tenere 700? You mentioned on this episode of the podcast, that would be, I don't know which episode it was, but a spark plug is hard to remove. Like on certain bikes, you leave it. I'm curious because it's a pain in the ass to remove plugs on a T7. Thanks in advance. Okay, Yamaha makes really good watercraft, so don't submerge your Tenere 700 in the first place. Bad for it. But so I would, if I had to dewater it, because I don't really want to flip that thing upside down either, I would probably try putting it in high gear, put it in like 5th, 6th gear, and slowly rock the bike back and forth. Because just at some point you're going to have one cylinder with water in it and another cylinder without, that doesn't, and you're trying to work individual cylinders. And I would go backwards, back all the way and then forward and back, because the thing is you want to kind of pump it out the exhaust, but you definitely don't want to start. Yeah, I would rock it, make sure it's not trying to fire up, because if you don't get it out of one, you got to get it past one to get it all out of the other one, but you can flip it upside down too. I don't know. And just take some time and rock it back and forth. I mean, you could lay it over on its side. Think about this. Okay. Cause I'm thinking about this on the fly. You could lay it over its side and spin the wheel while it's laying on its side. And that way the one cylinder that's on the downhill side, hopefully you can get that one kind of cleaned out, and you can flip it over to the other side and do the same thing on the other side and get most of it out that way. But you want to kind of hope that it goes out the exhaust and you don't push it out the intake, because then it's going to suck it right back in. So yeah, don't get it in the water in the first thing. Here is some question about, hey Jimmy, what kind of oil do you like to use usually? Another oil question. I like oil. I like to have oil on my bike. I ride a 2005 Yamaha WR250F. I'm a novice rider, so nothing too crazy fast. Mostly enduro with a couple of track days in the mix. Currently using Yamaha, but it's kind of expensive. Yamaha is also must be the best oil as well. Like most oils, it's probably a really good oil. Can't find the Rotella in a big container anywhere. Any recommendations? Yamaha has served me well so far, but I don't want to save money for an inferior oil. So, I mean, so in all honesty, you gotta ask yourself, like, how much am I changing oil? What's it really costing? How long is it in there? What am I trying to do? So Rotella is well known as a good oil for motorcycles, especially ones that have a clutch in them. So I mean, most of these oils start as the same base stock oil, and then they add their additive package. And the Rotella is not too slippery. And now I see my internets are dropping frames like crazy. So something's going wrong here. Somebody's messing with my internet speed. But anyways, you just got to look at it from a price standpoint. Like, how much are you changing? Are you changing it maybe too much? And some of the more quote inferior oils just don't last as long, or they're too slippery, or it's just plain the wrong kind of oil. I've always been told, have the right kind of oil. That's the best thing you can do. So have oil in it first, and then the right kind of oil. So I think that's it. And since our internets are starting to die, I'm going to go ahead and kind of put an end to this show. But let's see. Mark says cheers for some reason, which is good. Thanks. I'm not sure what's going on there, but have you rode the 2025 YZ450 FX? And the answer is, did I ride that one? I believe I rode it briefly last year at one of Trevor's ride days, but we're going to go and do a 450 comparison very soon. So with that, that's it. Somehow we're breaking the internets right now. Maybe it's because I'm using up Wi-Fi bandwidth for my Yamaha Power Tuner app, the most powerful app ever known to man. So I'll shut all these apps down, and hopefully it'll fix the show. Again, thank you everybody for joining in. I want to thank Moto. I'd like to thank Yamaha, Bulletproof Design, Seat Concepts, DDC, Fasst Company, Flex Handlebars. I was going to talk about my Flex handlebars. I was actually going to change the elastomers, so maybe I'll save that for another show. Climb product of the week that we didn't do. The new Climb Arsenal 15 backpack. It's got a really robust backplate on it. I haven't used it yet, but I'm getting ready to. I'm getting ready to take my old, I don't know what they called the old one out, and for the new one. So when I'm packing a lot of stuff, this has a lot of stuff. It comes with the water bladder and all the things. So check that out. Go to climb.com. And hey, beware of scams. There's been some company that seems like they can make a fake Climb store and cheat you out. So make sure you're going to the original. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true on the things. And we will, other than that, my cat's happy, I'm happy, we're all good, and we will see you out in the trail. So see you next week. I hope, if we can pull it off after I have to survive my watercrafting vacation. I may gain like 50 pounds to really own that segment of the market. So, all right, everybody. Cheers. We'll see you out in the trail. If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully, we'll see you out in the trail.